All right, welcome to the Real Squabble. Today we're discussing Christmas traditions, Hanukkah, holiday food and fun, and you Jehovah Witnesses, pagans, and Christian non-participants. You may believe it should be shunned and disagree with some of our opinions and traditions, but that's okay. Hey, the show's called the Real Squabble, right? So here we go, and I'm all ready. We actually started celebrating Christmas at our house in October. Pretty much as soon as Hallmark and Great American Family start playing Christmas movies, we started Christmas. We took a little break for Thanksgiving, and then we were back into Christmas. What about you guys? When does Christmas actually start, or the holiday season start in your house?
Not till Thanksgiving is done.
Oh, so that's got to be the way it is, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I live in a temperate climate. If it was snowing, I maybe could be I don't know why, convinced, but I can't. I will say this though. I'm usually done with Christmas shopping by July or August. So everything gets wrapped and mailed before Thanksgiving, but decorations don't happen until
Well, we
Thanksgiving.
lived overseas for a long time too, so we had to get it. Sue, in upcoming years, just turn the air conditioning on and put a fireplace on the TV and get yourself in the spirit. Right?
No.
That's the way to do it.
The spirit is thanks. The spirit is thanks, and then when that is over, the spirit is giving for us. So that's where that's at.
That's wonderful. But we repeat this in July at our house too. It's Christmas in July, but I think Hallmark has kind of forced that on us.
I was going to say, so you're basically running on Hallmark's schedule.
I guess they've totally I don't know. They've hypnotized us, I think, with their marketing.
Dave.
Well, we typically get started around Thanksgiving. This year we were a little bit late. We had a friend from out of town visiting us over the week of Thanksgiving, and so normally we'd be out stomping in the hills, getting the tree and having it all ready to put up Thanksgiving morning.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't get a tree until this last weekend, and so just sitting up in the house, getting equilibrated, and we'll probably start decorating it tonight or tomorrow night. So,
okay, live tree or artificial tree?
Oh, live tree. You stomp around in the hills and cut one.
All right. Ours is artificial tree. We just don't like the needles in the house. Now Sue is showing us another tradition behind her left shoulder, the upside down Christmas tree hanging from the ceiling. Can you turn your camera a little bit so we can see how it's attached?
It's actually not hanging from the ceiling. It has a post and rises from that, and it is. We happen to have a super high ceiling, so that this tree is probably 10, 11 feet tall. We're cutting it down when we get to a smaller place. We've had it smaller. We've had it 5 feet. But yeah, we do this upside down Christmas tree.
But that's a very old tradition, isn't it?
I don't know how old it is for others. We've been doing it for more than 20 years. We're artists, and but there's some real benefits. And here, let me show you how one of those benefits is. You see, it doesn't take up any space on the floor. See that? So what that means is that if you have tons of presents, which is one reason why 20 years ago we did it this way, because we had a bunch of grandkids and everything, and you could fill up that space, and it now does not take up 3/4 of your room. Right, because you have all that space underneath to pile up presents. So there's a fair bit under there right now, but you can see there's still tons of room that it could have lots more. Right?
Okay, now was that a tradition passed down through your family?
No, the tree was though.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, no, not the upside down part. We just repurposed my parents' old artificial tree that we always had, because we moved so much in the military, and sometimes overseas you can't get a tree, and whatever.
Yeah.
And my dad would try to pretend that he was allergic to pine, but then he would put pine scented things in the tree to make it smell like a pine tree.
Gotcha. Well, the reason
I like those little air fresheners from his truck. Is that what you're trying to say?
It was similar. I think Avon put one out like, a million years ago. And honest to God, that sucker still smells like pine when you pull it out of the box. I don't know how. And I never have done anything to it, but it was there in my childhood. So 50 years old.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had seen that in Germany quite a bit.
Oh, upside down trees?
Oh yeah, they hang them from.
Okay, cool.
They hang them, and it to my knowledge, it started with a bishop in Germany, like probably the time of Martin Luther, somewhere in there. Saint Boniface started doing that, and I just called it up here so I can look at it for you. The inverted triangle design was actually said to have been used to explain the Holy Trinity. And it was later adopted by working class households as a space-saving approach. like
it is a space-saving approach. It also has some other advantages. You know how a cat or a dog or even young children that is crawling around will bat at things that are on the bottom branches. And usually you have some of your heavier ornaments on the bigger branches, which are normally on the bottom. And so by putting the bigger branches, you can put the heavier things, the more dangly things up high. You're actually putting them at eye level. You're seeing ornaments that you haven't seen, in the more traditional way. And you definitely, are avoiding a lot of anybody hitting it when they're just crawling around or wandering around like the dog does.
Okay, question. Where do you start putting the decorations on? From the top or the bottom? Right?
In our case, we put the decorations on for everything we can reach without a ladder first.
Yeah.
And then we go up with the ladder.
Okay. Do you guys do, Dave, do you do special ornaments, things that you saved through the years?
Yeah, we've got quite a few of those. We're not in the military, but my wife and I, she's from Idaho. I'm from Oklahoma. We met in Oregon. We've lived in Florida, Alaska, multiple places in between. And so we've kind of collected ornaments from different places that we've lived. We've got a lot of those. Our kids are still in high school. So, we have some of the, little ornaments they made as little kids in school, although they're kind of at that age where maybe that's a little bit embarrassing, but we're not throwing them out yet. So yeah, lots of, especially from, we had our kids later in our marriage. So we've got lots of fun memorial, memorable type ornaments from before them as well. So yeah, typically we're at a point where, we have more ornaments than tree. And so we just kind of have to pick and choose which ones to put on the tree every year.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. We've got the ones from, the first, our son actually yesterday, we did a funny picture because he's 35 and I would always lift him to put the angel on the top of the tree. So I had me trying to get a hernia yesterday, lifting him and him going, so, but that was something we did all through the years. It was like the youngest in the family always put the angel on the top of the tree.
That's nice.
We'd play music and drink cocoa and just enjoy that time together and put the stuff that we'd gotten in Aviano, Italy, little things from Buon Natale, from in Germany. Germany, the Germans always put the pickle on the tree.
Yep.
Where the kids could try to find the pickle and they get a prize. And
we've got a pickle. My mother-in-law does the tree spider tradition, which is kind of the same thing. You put a spider in the tree and someone finds it and there's a prize and there's a story that you read about it. I don't like spiders, but
I would be afraid to go, wait a minute, that's a real spider.
Speaking of finding stuff in the tree, have you heard that thing that's going on about the praying mantis cocoons on the exterior, on the bottom of new trees?
No.
Yeah. So, and they're completely harmless, but apparently it's happened a few times up in the Michigan area or something. But from fresh trees that what happens is they're fine when they're out in the cold because it's a cocoon with the baby praying mantises in it, sort of like butterflies would come out, right? It's a cocoon, and but as soon as they come inside and they get warmed up, it takes like a week, 2 weeks, and they hatch because they think it's spring. And so you can just come in and you all of a sudden your house has a couple hundred baby praying mantises.
But hey, no bugs in the house, so it's all good.
If they're all, you know what though, if they're all praying next to the nativity scene, I find that religiously acceptable.
That could work. That could work.
Yeah. I mean, it's all in your perspective, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing that we have, Mike, that you bring up. We have lots of different little nativity scenes that we set up.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple of different ornament sets that are so we have this tiny little fake tree that that my wife and I have carted around for years. When we first moved to Alaska in 2003, we were living in this little gopher hole apartment.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have any space. We didn't have any money. So we bought this little fake tabletop tree and decorated it. And so that's got a little set of nativity ornaments and lights that goes on it every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got several little nativity sets that we set up around the house. One of which is myrtle wood that my wife got when she was in Israel before she had me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of a fun thing to have all these different nativity scenes scattered in different parts of the house.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
I have found that ornaments are a really excellent thing to buy or when you're out touring. Ornaments and postcards, they don't take any space up, right? And you can have something. So literally our tree there's only really one requirement. It has to be handmade or, it can't be something that was stamped out or anything like that. Clearly, there's plenty. But then every single one of them has a memory, right? And you remember that memory when you're putting out, whether it's the one that your aunt made you when you were 7 and it says Susie 1969 on it, or whether it's, or whether it's one that you bought from some artisan in Nepal. It's even sometimes places that don't have a Christian tradition, then you can find something to commemorate that trip that you can make. Korea, doesn't necessarily have a huge Christian tradition in the shops and things like that.
Right. But Japan,
something that works.
Japan does, surprisingly. When we were there, it was very interesting to be in the mall and hear Bing Crosby and see Merry Christmas all over the place. They've probably not from the religious aspects, but they've certainly embraced the more secular aspects of Christmas.
Yeah.
And it was sort of surreal.
Japan had a really, really strong Christian tradition up until about the First World War. And then they had kind of this purge of Christian pastors, which more than a few people have pointed out that the two main centers of this purge took place in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Oh gosh!
So it's kind of fascinating.
The
University of Hokkaido, for example, was originally a Christian university, and their motto to this day is "Boys be excellent," but the full motto originally was "Boys be excellent for Christ," which was the words of the founder, who was an American missionary, as he got on a boat to head home. So
well, my experience to go back to Korea was that, and from what I've read too, is that Korea has become a strongly Christian nation. And at nighttime, when I would go out in around Seoul or around Kunsan or wherever I was, you would see, unlike in America, I mean, they love neon. Well, everywhere they love neon, right? And you would see neon crosses all through the mountainsides and in the land, everywhere in Korea. It was just it was amazing. So let's back up just a little bit before we get into Christmas specifically, because tonight is the night. Tonight is the night that the children are supposed to clean their shoes and put them outside their door so that Saint Nicholas can bring goodies and chocolates to them tomorrow morning, which is Saint Nicholas Day. Or as I learned,
Father Christmas, depending on where you are, all named different. Yeah,
exactly. And I grew up, as a kid from the 1970s, early 71, celebrating Saint Nicholas Tag, which is the German word for day, and doing those things. So we've passed it down. And I was reminding my son-in-law last night to make sure that our 6-year-old grandson gets his shoes out. And this is I think it's a very to us, it's a fun family time, of course, to celebrate and a wonderful tradition, but it's also a time to actually celebrate the historic Saint Nicholas, right? Who lived in a Greek bishop that lived in part of Turkey, who many say that the Santa Claus tradition initially, started from because of his giving type of spirit.
Who was present at the Council of Nicaea and punched out Arius.
And did what?
And punched out Arius over the issue of Arianism.
Okay, well, children, if your children are around, we don't want them to hear that Santa Claus punched somebody out. Okay, I mean,
our kids went to St. Nicholas Catholic School here in Idaho, and that was a favorite story that got rolled out every time there was a significant event. They would talk about St. Nicholas decking Arius. Okay, kids, this is not how you solve conflict.
Yeah,
but he's still our hero.
Again, if the children are near, cover their ears. But St. Nicholas did go to prison, and he was killed. So, I got in trouble on the radio. I was in my early 20s, but I did a commercial where I actually, machine gunned Santa Claus down, and it never went on the air. I thought it was hysterically, it was an hysterical, funny parody, but I was much younger.
But it never got on the air. What a shock.
I was slightly more immature than I am today. Just a little.
Just
more,
a little.
But St. Nicholas Tag, what a wonderful time. If you haven't celebrated that with your children or your grandchildren, read up on it and think about it. I think that's the other
thing is it's not about getting something, right?
No,
I mean, it's just not. And I think any opportunity you have during this entire season to celebrate that is worth it. It is worth the energy it takes to do, just because it's all so much commercialism and ridiculousness. And kids have been now hyped up. And the only good thing I can say about all that being hyped up is that generally from now for the next 3 weeks, you kind of have a good leverage to get them to act properly. But it's, that's maybe not the right motivation. Maybe we need more St. Nicholas and little less bribery.
No, yeah, I'm with you 100%. And it's not so much inciting or perpetuating greed, right? And all that can happen. But I think all of us, in many ways, most of our life, are looking for meaning and purpose, and you can search for it in those lessons and in those stories and in the things that are taught in many of those stories in Christianity. So and I think that's the biggest point there, Sue, is the giving, not the getting.
It's the giving, not the getting. But it's also the spirit of the season is just to pause and celebrate and have that sense of togetherness. Not just family, but friends. And that's why, you have parties and you have gatherings to kind of celebrate the end of the year and in a way that can be inclusive of everyone, right? You don't have to, force it. It's meant to be part of the season. It's just that, well, you were talking earlier, Hallmark has co-opted it, and so has, every shopping center on the planet. And to a certain extent, I'm not offended, but after a while, you're just like, all right, enough already.
No, I'm not either, because, I think there can be a good marriage. I think the critical issue for a lot of folks is the significance that we attach to the practices, right? And that's really an important thing as we go through the holidays and through St. Nicholas Tag or Day and through Christmas and
Hanukkah starts on Friday. Similar kind of thing. A chance to Diwali, same kind of conversation just happened a couple of weeks ago. An opportunity to really become a little globally spiritual, right? And to think about your life and think about what you are, moving forward and what you're passing on in particular.
Yeah, exactly. Though it may not be specifically aligned with your tradition or beliefs, I think as humans, part of my belief as a Christian is valuing others And I think we can do that for Kwanzaa. We can do that. Well, the fact is that Jesus celebrated Hanukkah. People don't talk about that, but he did. Okay, Jesus, Jesus was Jewish. Okay, and the whole New Testament is are Jewish books basically written to Jewish people. So think about that. I just blew some people's minds. It's like, whoa, what? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, right there in John 10:22, it talks about Jesus being in Jerusalem for the Feast of Dedication, which was Hanukkah. Yeah. And that this is something just in my ministry in my church the last several years that I've started talking more about and encouraging Christians to be more interested and excited about Hanukkah, because it's basically the story of this miraculous deliverance of Israel from, in this case, the Seleucids, the Syrian Greeks, Antiochus IV.
Yeah, right.
And there's the miracle of oil, which is the part that gets a little bit that some people kind of wrestle with. Even Jewish folks sometimes struggle with whether that really happened or not. But the story itself is solid, attested to in Josephus and other historians that Judas Maccabee and his brothers and this gang of guys came in and kicked out the Greeks and cleansed the temple and restored Jewish worship and ushered in the Hasmonean dynasty, which lasted for 100 years until the Romans came. And just that whole notion of the miracle of the oil and the light shining in the darkness, even though there's no reason for it to be shining, and yet the light, the lamp in the temple, was that physical representation of the Shekinah glory of God.
Yeah, and I think those representations are certainly, worth reflecting on and understanding. Now, I have attended synagogue with some of my Jewish friends here in our condo and have had these conversations. And, I'm reminded usually this time of year from them that, Hanukkah is a lesser holiday for the Jewish people, but it is not on the level of Passover. Right. For the Jewish people, but it's still a wonderful time of reflection. It is difficult, and I talked to a local rabbi about this too. It's difficult growing up for them to see the Protestant or Catholic or Christian children celebrating these things and not participating, not being allowed to participate, or not wanting to participate. But having those, I think it was Adam Sandler singing about having 8 days, of gifts and presents each day. They were getting things, and I love, like you were saying, Dave. I love celebrating it. I love seeing the menorah. We have one out with a Christmas tree in our building, and there are actually, if you don't know, the menorah has actually 9 candles, 8 for the days, and then there's a servant candle that lights and the first one. Someone, I guess, obviously they didn't understand tradition, so they had already lit one of the lights on the menorah, and I was like, it's not December 7th. That's what you said, right? Sue? December 7th is the first day.
I think this year,
This year it changes based on the moon or the sun.
The Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar, and so their dates don't line up with our dates from year to year. So the other interesting thing is the Hanukkah menorah is different from a normal menorah. The regular menorah has 7 candles on it. It has to do with the days of creation and choosing the Shabbat celebration. Exactly. And then the Hanukkah menorah has 9 candles, and it's formally known as a Hanukkah. So that's a different thing that comes out specifically for Hanukkah.
Yeah, and because the oil wasn't expected to last a day, and instead of, they wanted to light the menorah of 7, but the oil lasted for 8 days, and that's why it has the 8 and then the servant candle now, just to reflect, to respect the history of all that happening. Okay, now music, favorite Christmas song? Mariah Carey. Oh
no! Oh my God, no!
You let this guy be in charge.
Okay, maybe artist, Christmas singer, batch of Christmas singers. I can't. Yeah, it's hard to go with one.
Yeah, it's very hard to go with one. I can name three. All right, that's the best
Okay.
I can do.
Mhm.
I do love, in terms of carols, I really love Silent Night, but I think the best version Silent Night ever was John Denver and the Muppets. And that's
Oh,
because, and I mean it, like Google it, you'll love it, because John
yeah.
Denver sings the first verse, and then
Mhm.
in the middle he tells the story of the song, and then the
Mhm.
Muppets all sing along at the end, and it's just freaking charming.
Mm.
I am my favorite Christmas songs to sing, because I'm a singer. I have two. I can't finish any concert I do, not just Christmas ones, without singing
Mhm.
"Count Your Blessings," the Rosemary Clooney version.
Oh, so beautiful.
It's absolutely exquisite, and you just can't, it's everything about it. And then I am really enamored. As a matter of fact, I tricked my husband and maybe into marrying me by singing "Merry Christmas, Darling." So by the Carpenters.
We've got to sing together sometimes too, because I'm a singer as well,
I know.
and I have a guitar. So we never
Yeah.
did that. We never did that.
No,
Just as a side note, my grandson believes that the Muppets wrote Bohemian Rhapsody because
fabulous.
he heard that on television. Okay, Dave.
You know, I have always liked the I don't know if story is the right word, but just the idea and the message behind the little drummer boy, and just am totally enamored with For King and Country's version of it that's kind of taking the world by storm right now. But I'm one of those people that would listen to Christmas music all year long if I could get away with it. So it's hard to say that I have a favorite Christmas song, although I do love the Guy Garardi tunes from Peanuts. You know, Charles Schultz, and choosing one of the biggest jazz musicians of his day to score his Christmas special.
Yeah.
Well, several of his early TV specials. So and I listen to a lot of jazz, and you can't listen to any respecting jazz station without hearing a lot of Guy Garardi. So I hear that stuff all the time.
Yeah. Well, I've already been on the treadmill and the cross trainer at the gym with Pandora, listening to my mix of Christmas music. And it first of all must include Aaron Neville's Soulful Christmas. And that's all of them. And if you've never heard him sing Silent Night or Oh Holy Night, then you've never heard it sung, because Aaron Neville has the voice of an angel.
Yeah.
Amazing. And Harry Connick Jr. and
Connick Jr.'s Christmas album is off the charts.
Any song that these guys sing is Christmas, right? And it fits into the same category, to me anyway, as Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, which have to be on my Christmas mix, right? So
Dean Martin?
Oh, you've not heard?
Are you sure you don't mean Andy Williams?
Andy Williams too. Yeah, but Dean Martin did some fabulous Christmas music too. As a matter of fact, you need to listen to his version of "Baby It's Cold Outside."
I can only imagine, but I will.
No, that's Mercy Me.
Yeah, I was listening to a wide selection of. Check it out anyway. It's worth it. But I don't listen to much modern Christmas music at all, because the old classics are so good.
I do want to note that Peggy Lee has just for the first time in 65 years topped the Christmas charts with "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree."
Right. I just saw that the other day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? She's been number 2 like for 50 years or something.
Yeah. So that's
being a native Oklahoman, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas."
How is that Oklahoman?
She's from Oklahoma.
Who?
The lady that wrote that and performed that as a 10-year-old.
Okay.
And so when Oklahoma City Zoo opened their
Oh.
first hippopotamus exhibit, she was on hand for the dedication, and she
Guess
shows
I'll
up
be-
periodically when they do something new with the hippopotamus exhibits. And she's still alive. She's still kicking, still around.
That's right up there with Donde es Santa Claus. And all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth, I think, maybe.
And don't forget, Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Oh, how could we forget that, right?
And in my case, I took care of her in Missoula, Montana, but that's another story.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it sets the atmosphere for everything, doesn't it? While you're making Christmas cookies, I've been eating the cookies that Sherry's been making. And she's been. You guys have actually liked and commented on a couple of them, as well as other folks. What's your favorite Christmas? Let's go with candy and cookies first, or a tradition you have maybe at your house doing those things.
Yeah. So one of the things that my wife and I started doing a few years ago is, well, for years we would make up little plates of goodies, fudge and dipped pretzels and everything, things like that, and put them on little plastic plates and pass them out to the neighbors. And then several years ago, we started going down to the local Goodwill and secondhand stores, and we just buy little Christmas plates for $1 a piece, and then put a little label on underneath that would basically just say, pass it on or something like that, and just fill that with Christmas goodies, and then take it to all the neighbors. And so that's a fun thing that we've included our kids in over the years, and so that we enjoy that.
So it's all about cookies.
In our case, it's mostly fudge, caramel popcorn, and chocolate covered pretzels.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's cookies in our house. Or, for a long, long time, especially when there were a lot of kids around, I would start making batches of cookies Thanksgiving weekend, and it would, like every weekend, make 3 or 4 other batches so that there'd be a great assortment for office parties and, whatever it took. You just put 2 or 3 of each on there and you're done. Right. And if they get eaten along the way, great. We stopped doing that a few years ago in an attempt to be healthy. And it actually has helped, because now if I'm going to eat cookies, I eat them when I'm at somebody else's, but I'm not having them sitting here in front of us. Except this year I got caught up in it. My sister's back from overseas for a while, and she wanted to bake last weekend. And I had made a commitment. The German sister city here are doing a big bake sale next weekend. So I had said I'd make 3 or 4 different kinds. So I literally, last weekend, we made 8 batches of cookies. And it was too much.
What's the sister city?
Fredericksburg, Virginia is sister cities with Schwetzingen, Germany, near
Heidelberg. Gotcha.
And so, we have an organization, but the point is to try to lean into that. But I'm a traditional baker. I'm a shortbread butter cookie. I'm not a frosting kind of person, and I don't eat chocolate. So I don't care about any of the chocolate stuff. I mean, I'll acquiesce and stick a Hershey's Kiss in a peanut butter blossom. I don't eat that either. So it's good for me because I don't eat most of them. But if I was picking a cookie, our favorite family cookie, our historic favorite family cookie,
the old grandma, that's the one that gets, oh, grandma, thank you.
Jello cookies.
What? I have never heard of a Jello cookie.
It's a version of sugar cookie, but instead of sugar, you put a flavored Jello in. In instance, it was one of those recipes in the 70s when, the big companies would put out, you have to have these recipes and whatever. They are the best flavored cookies. It's amazing. And everybody always raves about them. And they're just like a sugar cookie. Just roll them into balls, put them there and stamp them with one of your, imprinted stamps. So, the red ones are strawberry, the green ones are lime, and everybody's blown away by how flavorful they are. And they couldn't be easier to make.
You need to post the recipe on our link.
All right, I'll dig it out.
You really do.
They're super fast and easy and flavorful and go like hotcakes. So.
Well, that makes it worth it right there, because I'm impatient. I like them. I can
6-minute bake time.
I can barely wait for them to cool. It's like, no, I need to eat these now.
What are you for cooking, Mike? What do you eat?
Well, Sherry makes amazing chocolate chip cookies. And my daughter makes wonderful. Probably one of my all-time favorites that I'm addicted to is peanut butter cookies.
Okay.
But I will say, I think it might be close to my all-time favorite cookie, and that is she makes what she calls a chocolate thumbprint cookie, which is, it is, I know you said you're not keen on chocolate, but I think this would win you over totally. And it's got pecans on top of it. It's chocolate cookie. It's her grandma's recipe, and it's to die for. Truly an amazing cookie. So those are the top ones. She's going to make some apple jelly cookies today. I think they're kind of like sugar, but she puts a dollop of apple jelly on top. And not trust me, she's probably listening, but I will eat them, but they're not my favorite of the favorite. Now there is a candy that I have to say that from childhood has been like a number one. I mean, it's a sugar coma. And if you look up the recipe, you'll see it most often called potato candy, right? But it's what it is. If you see the recipe, just omit the potatoes, because that is a filler that people put in during the Great Depression to make it stretch farther. And plus it cuts down on the sugar, and you don't want that. So
you don't want to cut down on the sugar.
No, basically you take confectionery sugar in a bowl, mix it with carnation. What do you call it?
Instant milk.
Yeah, but it's I guess
evaporated.
It's the sweetened.
Oh, condensed.
Condensed, right?
You put condensed milk, yeah.
Yeah, you put that in there. You mix it all out, and then you roll it thinly, kind of like you would if you're making biscuits, except a lot thinner, right? Old-fashioned making biscuits, okay? But then once you have it rolled out, I did this last year with my mom. I'll post some pictures on our Facebook link, and put what I know of the recipe, because I've only made it once. Then you spread peanut butter thinly across it, and then you roll it to where it looks like a peanut butter pinwheel, and then thinly slice it across. Put it in the refrigerator. Oh,
in the refrigerator, okay.
To cool, yeah. I mean because it is a candy, and it tastes really good cold and staying in the refrigerator. Yeah.
Yeah. See, when you get into candy, the thing that my wife makes that we just kind of eat all over is she makes these little I guess you call them turtles. So you take a little pretzel and you put 3 or 4 pecan halves on it. You put a caramel block on top of that, and a chocolate chip on top of that, and melt it either in the oven or the microwave, and just let it cool, and you just pop them.
Okay. Now the difference, what I want to know is, what is your difference between your Thanksgiving meal and your Christmas meal, right? Are they the same in your household, or do you have turkey with one and ham with the other, or do you mix it up, or do you go by dietary needs and people's taste?
Yeah, the constant in our house is green bean casserole, and pecan and pumpkin pie, which are things that we would eat year round if we could. We typically have turkey for both, but at Christmas we'll often include a ham. Although sometimes at Christmas, if it's just a small gathering of the few of us, we'll cook a prime rib.
Okay, we're coming over.
Turkey. Another one of those things that we would eat year round if we could.
Yeah, I don't need turkey for 2 meals like that. I still have leftovers in the freezer from the first one. So, I mean, I look for something else. Sometimes we'll do, certainly Christmas Eve, we do the 7 fishes.
Okay. So, that's very Italian.
Yeah, but it's just something our family always did. And I'm not attached to a specific meat on Christmas Day. It's whatever strikes the group or the fancy. If it's just the 2 of us, it may even be a couple of Cornish hens or something, but it's never going to be a big old turkey. Ham probably would be the fallback, but I'm not immune to the prime rib or the beef idea.
Okay, meal prior to Christmas and pizza on Christmas Day, or when do you do your meal?
No, you eat Christmas dinner on Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, like this
No,
year.
on Christmas Day, I like to go out and have Chinese food with my Jewish friends.
So this year, we're going to spend Christmas at my in-laws' house, and so we're having some friends over for a little gift exchange at our house, and then we'll have a thing at my in-laws' house, and so we might eat 2-3 times on Christmas Day.
Okay, well, maybe the pizza will go on Christmas Eve, so no one. What I guess what I'm saying is, who wants to spend all their time in the kitchen, right?
Right.
Okay, come on over. We're going to put you to work, Sue. Well, you have a fairly large family, don't you? You have
I do have a big family, and it's sometimes all here and sometimes not. This year it will just probably be 3 of us. Matter of fact, we might eat with some friends. They kind of do an orphan adult holiday party for different holidays. It's not anything bad, let me tell you. She's an amazing cook. But so sometimes we'll eat with friends. The thing about particularly Christmas, Thanksgiving was always at home in our family, but I grew up in a military family, and my father was an officer. We would go and serve Christmas dinner to the troops
at the dining facility, right?
Eat there. We wouldn't always cook at home, but whenever we cooked, when my dad was in the Air Force, when Rick was in the Air Force, anytime, even now, if there's a stray, they're invited. If there's and it could be somebody I just meet on the 24th that just doesn't look like they have a place to eat dinner.
Yeah,
I'm not immune to that at all. And when we lived in the San Antonio area, you could go, the Air Force base down there, the big training base, had a system in place where they would rotate. You could just sign up to host an airman or two for dinner, and you would pick them up at like 8 a.m. and not bring them back till 8 p.m, and they got their first chance at living just comfortably someplace for the day. And you coerced them into having a tipple of something alcoholic even when they weren't supposed to, and you handed them cigarettes to go outside on the porch if they really wanted them, and and you had gifts for them and whatever. We always had. My dad was forever bringing somebody home for a meal for a holiday.
Same here. And you and I were in Italy together at Aviano, and throughout my whole career and my dad's 20-year career, we would go to the dining facilities most often for Thanksgiving and for Christmas dinners, because they did such a good job. And the military was our family. And the
other thing is, it was hard to get some of those supplies on your own. Like, turkey was hard to come by in some places. If you didn't get it earlier, you're just not going to find it. It wasn't that easy.
Well, and that was the same with gifts and clothes and everything else. With our military family, we did that, and with our churches, we did that as well, inviting people to dinners, to banquets, trying to take care of them, trying to get them the dorm rats away from the base, so that they could just kind of observe everyday life.
Get a break.
With these kinds of places, so important. And maybe this is just a little different, maybe a little different segue, but it's been so heavily on my heart. This especially, it is all year round, but especially as the weather gets cold and I see homeless people, and I see them hungry, I see them pushing carts, I see them sleeping in sleeping bags in a corner somewhere. And it happens even around Annapolis. It happens probably a lot of places across the country. And, you can't do everything, but it's good if you can, that you do something. You take someone into a store or a restaurant and buy them a meal, or put them up for a night in a hotel, or guide them, because a lot of folks, are destitute. Some, quite a few. If you speak to your local law enforcement, that there are a lot of people with mental health issues that are sleeping out in the cold and in the woods. They could be pointed. In our area, the synagogues and the churches provide shelter and food and ladies to do the women's hair, and trying to look for employment opportunities, or to do whatever to help them find ways to get their medication, because many of the folks don't know what next steps to take. I honestly, I've thought about it a lot, and I want to do what I can, and we do. My wife has the hugest heart in the world. Someone asks for something, or they look hungry, she's approached them and taken them into local stores where there's food and fed them. And I think that I just wish, because in our community, they don't have a place where people can stay overnight. I wish that I could raise funds. I wish I could establish a place where they could be there. They weren't turned out at night to where they had to go forage and find places. That our communities, whether it be the churches, the synagogues, just good-hearted people could come together in their communities and have that giving Christmas spirit all year round to take care of the vulnerable. So I just had to put that plug out there.
I think there's lots of ways, and it is one of our family giving traditions is to look for angel trees. We also buy wreaths for Wreaths Across America, which is all about putting wreaths on every military grave in the country. You can find ways to give. Toys for Tots is obvious. It's sitting right there, but you see the coat drives, and Lord knows we all have plenty of coats in the cupboard. And these opportunities to give. Food banks are looking for help, or even deliver meals on Thanksgiving when a restaurant says, we're going to make all the meals, but we need delivery people. Those opportunities are out there. You just have to want to do that. And I think that what you're talking about is exactly that. And that, in my mind, is very much Christmas tradition. My mother and sisters and I would get an angel tree. We'd get 4 angel tree ornaments, 3 if that's all we could afford, and we'd go together and buy what we needed to and drop those things off for whoever was our, person, our recipient.
And also, many who may not be aware, Operation Christmas Child is from Samaritan's Purse, is a huge program every year that gets toys and needs in these shoe boxes to children all around the world, and it's an amazing ministry, and it's helping people. So look for those types of things. I think that you're doing similar things out there in Idaho, the country of Idaho.
Yep. Yeah, our church is actually the largest shoebox packing church in the state of Idaho for Operation Christmas Child. We did over 4,000 boxes this year.
Fabulous.
The other thing that we do is we work with the local school district and provide backpacks and school supplies for kids. Yep. So part of that happens at the beginning of the school year, but then we hold some of them back to bring this time of year to make sure that there's kids that if they got missed the first time around, that they have an opportunity, and then that can be possibly a Christmas present for a kid that might not get one.
Okay.
Speaking of that, I gotta say, it's a little bit of an aside, but my heart is still. We visited Maui not that long ago after the fires. It was late October when we were there, and what's happened is a lot of the kids and stuff that were in Lahaina and the families with kids, they've just put them out in other parts of the county, which is really the island. And so there are school districts and in the other part of the island, and they're literally the most essential, or they're the easiest place to identify who needs help, because they're seeing these new kids coming in the middle of the year or starting the school year, and they're knowing that these are kids from Lahaina that aren't moved back yet, that let's do that. And it's exactly what I'm talking about, backpacks or Operation, help. You can find a lot of help with your school district. Your school district, a lot of help.
I'm going to say something that may be slightly controversial. I don't think it should be, because I am a border person. I believe that we should have borders. We should secure our borders, but there are immigrants in our country that should not be shunned. Okay. Regardless of whether you think they should be here or not, those that are here shouldn't be shunned. They should be loved as humans. And if you see them any time of the year, but especially while it's cold and at Christmas, the children, especially the children, are innocent. love them, help them have a good Christmas. Do something, it's that whole starfish analogy, right? Just throw one back into the ocean. Do what you can
Do what you
to
can.
to
Do what
to
you can.
to show kindness and the love of Christ, however you look at that. And I think it would begin to just make the world a more amazing place for everyone. So let's wrap up the show with a more or less serious aspect.
What's your favorite Christmas movie, Mike?
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah, exactly. I was going with the movies. Gosh, that one is so hard, but we love Skipping Christmas. Skipping Christmas was the book, I think. Sherry, what was the movie called?
Christmas with the Cranks.
Christmas with the Cranks.
Oh, it's hysterical.
Yeah. I have to ask her because I can't remember actors' names or movie names. Yeah, I like that one.
That's a fun one.
Christmas with the Cranks is
we like the old movies, like White Christmas always gets watched in our house.
Yeah.
But I have like 5 or 6 different versions of A Christmas Carol.
But with
George C. Scott is
that's the best
all-time favorite. But I love the Albert Finney musical and Muppet Christmas Carol we just watched, and Jim Carrey's animated version is pretty amazing, and so.
I have to say, Elf is like at the top.
Yep.
Elf with Will Ferrell. That's really funny movie.
It's funny.
Yeah. But I'm with you. White Christmas with Clooney and
Bing Crosby
and Danny Kaye.
Yeah.
Those that's the movie. I do, even though it has some aspects that aren't culturally acceptable anymore. I do like Holiday Inn as well. They did a blackface scene in it, which is a reason that it doesn't get put on television anymore. But most of the movie I think is good, and I think the spirit of the movie was it was done in good taste, and I still do enjoy that. Yeah.
I do love White Christmas, but I still love It's a Wonderful Life.
I forgot. Yeah, we haven't watched that yet.
It's not Christmas without It's a Wonderful Life. So White Christmas and It's a Wonderful Life. And the rest of them can come and go. And no offense at all to your favorite channel, but they're not on the list.
Yeah, well, that's not my favorite channel.
Predictable. I find them way too predictable.
Yeah, we don't watch Hallmark Channel at all. You only have to watch one of them, and they're all the same.
Well, that's quite true. I will say that I have become more of a fan of the Great American Family Channel, and I like Preserving My Marriage. So,
right.
Yeah, no problem.
Good call, brother. And of course, the holiday season is not complete without watching National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
It's a pretty good movie. Pretty good movie. Interestingly enough, I think the numbers come up if you look. The Christmas Story shows up all the time, but I think it's a generational thing because it was post when I was interested in that stuff, and before my kids were old enough to be interested in that stuff. And I don't care. I mean, it's fine. If it's on, it might be on, but getting your tongue stuck to a pole is only so much fun.
No, I will say since childhood I've had to watch Rudolph.
Rudolph and How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the TV show, and the Peanuts. Absolutely.
We are Santa's elves. We are Santa's elves. Making toys for good boys and girls. We are Santa's elves. Yeah.
Put one foot in front of the other. I quote that even when it's not Christmas.
Oh, of course.
We people ask how our Thanksgiving went, and I tell people we made the mistake of inviting too many people over, and they ate our turkey. It's like the Bumpus Hounds showed up and ate all of our turkey. So that's part of our cultural lexicon in our house.
Any last words or wishes before we head into the holiday Christmas season?
Just Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, no matter what you celebrate. It's the right time to just take a stock a little bit, look around, appreciate the light, both internally and externally. Appreciate the light that is out there, and bring joy. Bring joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree. Dennis Prager and some others are really kind of coming down hard on this notion of saying Happy Holidays, but I don't have a problem with saying Merry Christmas and someone else saying Happy Holidays. It's because not everyone celebrates Christmas, and I appreciate that. So just celebrate what you're celebrating and enjoy it.
Right. Remember, joy doesn't necessarily come from full on happiness. Just be there for people and remember that someone loves you. That's an important aspect of Christmas. So, hey, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.